As an operator of a lift truck, your job is critical to your company. You move raw materials in and finished product out. Welcome to the Hyster Operator Training Program. Did you know that you're operating a powerful piece of industrial equipment? The Bureau of Labor Statistics show that operator training can reduce the number of industrial truck accidents. So, what's the difference between an untrained amateur and a trained professional lift truck operator? Well, for starters, professionals always safely operate the vehicle, and they have a complete understanding of what they're doing. A pro makes it look easy, but that's the result of paying attention on the job, proper training, always following proper operating procedures, and hours of practice. Professional lift truck operators always make vehicle checks in accordance with the manufacturer's recommended daily checks before their shift. They check fluid levels, gauges and controls, hydraulics, and tire pressure. Trained professional lift truck operators also protect themselves. This means using operator restraints and fall protection equipment and making sure they're in good working order. It means making sure hood latches are secured and overhead guards are intact. You'll learn about these and other safety precautions later in this program. And while we can show you how to operate your truck safely and professionally, it will be up to you to follow these rules every day. By practicing and applying them on the job, you'll always operate the lift truck safely, and you'll be a trained professional lift truck operator. It's important that you know the class of truck you'll be operating. You should never operate a lift truck unless you've been trained, evaluated, and certified to operate it safely and properly. Let's take a look at the different classes of trucks. Class 1 trucks include 3- and 4-wheel counterbalanced electric sit-down and some stand-up rider trucks. Counterbalanced trucks get their name from the counterweight at the back of the truck that enables it to lift heavy loads. Class 2 trucks include narrow aisle reach, narrow aisle straddle, order picker, and turret trucks. These trucks are electric powered and operate in narrow aisles. Class 3 trucks include walkie, high lift reach walkies, and walkie rider electric motorized hand trucks. All Class 1, 2, and 3 trucks are powered by a large industrial battery. Class 4 trucks are sit-down counterbalanced cushion tire trucks, powered by an internal combustion engine. Class 5 trucks are sit-down counterbalanced pneumatic tire trucks, powered by an internal combustion engine. The engine and drivetrain on sit-down rider trucks are similar to those on a car, but that's where the similarities end. Don't make the mistake of thinking that a lift truck and a car operate the same way. For example, some lift trucks have an accelerator and directional control combined into one pedal. All trucks but Class 3 and some Class 2 trucks have an overhead guard, which helps protect the operator from falling objects. You should never operate any truck which requires an overhead guard without one. The front of the truck is where you'll find the mast and carriage that lifts and lowers loads. Never allow anyone to stick their hands or any part of their body into the mast. A lift truck can be equipped with masts of different lift heights. Mounted on the front of the carriage are the forks. The forks are for lifting and lowering loads, not for pushing or pulling loads. Never allow anyone to stand on them so they can be lifted. The carriage moves up and down the mast as the load is raised and lowered. The carriage has a load backrest extension to keep the load from falling backward into the operator's compartment. Some masts are designed with free lift capabilities. Free lift is the distance the forks can be lifted before any part of the mast extends above the top of the mast channel. A free lift mast is particularly important when operating inside a trailer. Lift trucks have 2 basic types of tires, cushion and pneumatic. Cushion tires are made of solid rubber or polyurethane and are used on smooth indoor surfaces. Pneumatic tires are filled with air and are similar to car tires. They're used mostly for outdoor applications because they help provide better ride and traction on uneven surfaces. Now, let's review three important informational components found on every lift truck: the operating manual, the nameplate, and warning labels. The operating manual provides important information on the proper operation and maintenance of your truck. Since there are many differences between lift truck classes, it's important that you study, know, and understand the operating manual before operating your truck. Any truck with an attachment must also have an instruction manual for that attachment. The attachment manual must stay with the truck at all times. Every lift truck is equipped with a nameplate. On the nameplate, you'll find the truck model and serial number and the lifting capacity, which is the maximum load a lift truck can safely handle. The second column shows the fork height. This is the maximum distance from the floor to the top of the forks when lifting a load. The third column tells you the horizontal load center of a maximum capacity load. The horizontal load center is half the length of the load. For this truck, the horizontal load center is 24 inches, meaning the truck's capacity is based on loads 48 inches by 48 inches. You'll also find the tire type, size, and pressure, and any fork or attachment information on the nameplate. On electric trucks, you'll find the battery size along with minimum and maximum battery weight. The location of the nameplate varies from truck to truck. Check your operating manual for more information. Every lift truck is also equipped with warning labels. Refer to the operating manual to identify these labels. If any of these labels are missing or damaged, report it to your supervisor. Now let's take a look at some differences between lift trucks and cars. Unlike a car, a lift truck is rear steer. That means the back end swings out when turning. When the truck is empty, most of the weight is in the rear and the risk of a tip over is greater. And unlike a car, there are no shock absorbers or springs on a lift truck. So go slowly over uneven surfaces and avoid bumps, damaged concrete, and debris. When a lift truck is carrying a load, that load may restrict an operator's line of sight. If it does, travel in reverse. Stability is a major concern when operating a lift truck. On a lift truck, the weight of the load must be balanced by the weight of the truck. The key factor affecting stability is called center of gravity, or CG. Lift truck balance can be easily understood if you think of a seesaw. Remember when you were a child? If you and a friend about the same weight sat the same distance from the middle of a seesaw, it would be balanced. However, if one of you moved farther from the center of the seesaw, you would change the balance. And if a heavier child is put on one end of the seesaw, the same distance away from the center as the smaller child, balance is also shifted. The same thing can happen to a lift truck. If you try to lift a load heavier than the truck's maximum capacity, the back of the truck could lift off the ground. That is very dangerous. Remember, the maximum load weight a truck can safely lift is listed on the truck's nameplate. Never overload your truck. An empty lift truck will not tip over if the center of gravity stays within the stability triangle. This is the area defined by the front two tires and the rear wheel for three-wheeled lift trucks, or the pivot point between the rear wheels for a four-wheeled lift truck. The combined center of gravity of a loaded truck must stay within the stability triangle to prevent the truck from tipping over. Due to the location of the center of gravity within the stability triangle, a lift truck without a load has less side stability when it is turning, and a lift truck with a load has less forward stability when it is moving forward. Remember, the stability of a lift truck is affected by load weight, size, type, and the height the load will be lifted. Trained professional operators know that it is their responsibility to make sure that the load is secure and correctly placed on the forks. Unstable or excessive loads can also cause a lift truck to tip. It is also important to check the position of the load. If a load is elevated or shifted to the side of the forks, the truck becomes less stable. Remember, load should be against the load backrest before traveling. When traveling with a load, have it centered on the forks. Keep it 6 to 8 inches off the ground and make sure the mast is tilted back. Other important factors that affect the stability of your truck include accelerating, braking, turning, and operating on a ramp or uneven surfaces. Always drive slowly when turning and use extreme caution whenever accelerating, traveling at high speeds, braking, or operating on a ramp. These lift truck movements may cause the center of gravity to move outside the stability triangle and cause the lift truck to tip. If your sit-down rider truck is tipping over, never try to jump out of it. You simply won't have time to jump away from the truck, particularly the overhead guard. Instead, hold on to the steering wheel, lean away from the direction of the tip, and brace your feet for the impact. This, combined with wearing your seatbelt, will help you stay in the truck where you have a much better chance of avoiding serious or fatal injuries. A truck with an attachment should be treated as partially loaded. Attachments affect stability by changing the truck's capacity rating and load center. Make sure the nameplate shows the maximum capacity for your truck with an attachment. If an attachment is added to a lift truck, you must request a new nameplate and install it on the truck before using it. If you have questions about the proper operation of your lift truck, refer to the truck's operating manual that's supplied with your truck or talk to your supervisor. Now your trainer will lead you in the practical training portion of this program. Listen to your trainer and ask questions if you don't understand any part of the program.